Inakuwaje watu wangu nguvu? Mimi naitwa presenter Ali, your entertainment PA. Siku zote natia bidii kuhakikisha kwamba nakuletea wewe stories tofauti ambazo zipo kwenye trending, na muda mwingine pia nakuletea simulizi nyingi ambazo nahisi kwamba ukizitazama utajifunza mengi au pia you can relate nazo. Lakini leo niko na miongoni mwa marafiki zangu, amekuja hapa kushare story yake, na naomba ujitambulishe.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ali.
Yeah.
My name is Brian Sanko. You can call me Sakwa.
Yeah.
And I'm excited. Thank you for this opportunity.
You're
for
welcome.
Inviting me here to share my story. It has been quite a journey to see.
Yeah, and I really hope you're ready to share the story.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
yes.
So tell us what happened.
Well, first of all, in 2018, towards the end of 2018, well, our lives were just okay, and everything was perfectly fine with my dad. Towards now, the beginning of 2019, I was, by then I was working at our campus radio. Yeah. And that's the time I would say like my passion in radio had like picked up. Everything was perfectly fine. I was in touch with my dad. We used to communicate on the phone all the time. He used to call me and ask me, "Hey Brian, how is your career doing today? What have you broadcasted about? Blah 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 blah." You know, those nitty-gritties that a father does and a son, like that relationship of father-son. Yeah. Yeah. So he used to call me every evening to ask me, "Today, what were the stories that made headlines that big?" And I would explain to him on the phone. How about school? Because it was a campus radio.
Yeah, so you're still in school.
Yeah, I was still in school that time. But, you know, the shocking part that I came to learn later is that my dad was going through just a lot of things. And he was not like telling me, and I had no idea that he was dealing with a lot from the company he was working with. Yeah. So
what was he dealing with?
My dad was an MD of, I'll not mention the name of the company, but he was an MD of a very big company in Bungoma County. And if right now you made a phone call to Bungoma County and asked about Mr. Michael Kulundu Okumba, they will tell you we know that man, because my dad was a people person. He used to support a lot of people from churches, schools, like he was everybody's father, apart from just being our father. And I think that's what made me to like even love him more, because he was friendly to us. Not only was he a provider, but just also like everybody's father. That love that, you know, almost every family wants to have from their own father. So our dad was that kind of a father, and plus he was also Christian. So he used to pray a lot, and he used to even pray for us a lot. So that built our relationship and even made it closer. And now, speaking of the father to son, he wanted the best for me, especially when it comes to my career. But I had no idea that he was dealing with a lot from his company until he was abducted on the 3rd of January 2019. That day I was in my normal routine, school and radio routine. So I wake up, I was on a morning breakfast show that time. I prepare, I go to the radio show in the morning. So at around 8, my producer, one of the producers, he shout out to Okemo, he's still there till today at our university radio. He taps me on the back end and I was like, "Sakwa, Ebu, read this headline. Could this be someone you know?" So when I read that headline, the headline was, it was actually a breaking news. MD found dumped at a river. On clicking the video clip, it's my dad. I think from that point is when, I think I went through a place that, you know, mentally that I never understood. I was like confused, you know. There's a way that, you know, when something crazy happens to you, Ali, you can't even contain yourself mentally and even emotionally. You don't know whether to cry, scream, call Jesus, call your ancestor, call your aunt. Like, I was confused. And to make it even worse, every station that time was broadcasting it as a breaking news, from the blogs to the radio. And now the station where I was working at that point, the story was even put, it was inserted among the stories for the day. So I think my heart broke. I was confused. I was scared. And I had to leave the broadcast and head home to my crib. So on my way home, I received like 5 calls from my aunties, relatives, friends from our village, and even from where my dad used to work, asking me like, "Have you read this? Is your dad okay?" Even some of my teachers and lecturers were shocked that this was my dad. So at that point, I felt like, you know,
so they knew it was your father? Yeah,
they knew he was my father. But that abduction just came with a certain force of humiliation, there's even a lot of I would say a lot of alienation in there, as in people are like asking, oh, this is your dad, this was your dad, sorry. And you know, when you go through a season, bro, where everybody's like pitying you and having a lot of mercy for you, you tend to like withdraw. And because that incident was also a little bit humiliating, I just never wanted to speak to anyone at all during that time. I actually disconnected. And I think from thereafter, that's when I started becoming vocal about mental health, because even the worst was waiting for me. When he passed on now, he passed on like 3 months later. So, 3 months later,
So your dad was abducted, and how many days, I don't know if this is the right question to ask, but how many days did it take for them, like from abduction to his death?
Oh, so he was abducted, let's say like on the night, on Wednesday night, on Wednesday morning towards Thursday. On Wednesday morning towards Thursday. He was found the next day. And then he was taken to, I don't know if I should mention the hospital, but he was taken to a hospital, which was a very intensive care.
So he didn't die instantly?
He did not die instantly. He passed on almost, let's say, 3 or 2 months later. Yeah, he passed on the 6th of March 2019.
How were the 2 months for you?
The 2 months were horrible to say. Like, I would describe it as a situation or an incident that I will never ever wish it, not even on my worst enemy. Even if I hate you, I will never recommend or just push it on you so that you go through. I don't think if it's a season I'll ever even want to.
Were you talking during the 2 months? To him?
Yes, we were talking to him, because that is the time I stopped everything. I quitted my radio show. I had to start, we had to start being with him in hospital. He was at Aga Khan in Kisumu and then transferred to Nairobi Hospital.
I'm really trying to get the story. I don't know if I'm the only one by sijaelewa. When the breaking news came, it was just about the abduction.
Yes.
Not the death.
Not the death. The death happened 2 months later.
Oh, so after he was abducted.
He actually battled the injuries that were inflicted on him, very painful injuries. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritties of the injuries, but if you have happened to search Michael Kulundo Okumba online, you'll just get it from the news broadcaster media channels that broadcasted that info. They were very painful and traumatizing injuries. And I would say seeing my dad in that condition actually just broke me, because this is a person I looked up to in everything I wanted to do in my career. From the support I used to get, from like, if my dad was alive, I wouldn't struggle to get a job. Like, his name would open opportunities for me. Like, I would call even a station and say I'm the son to Dr. Engineer Michael Kulundo Okumba. They would call me in for an interview. Seeing my dad in that condition, he's vulnerable, wounded everywhere, broken, and he can't even lift himself even to go and pee. It was a very heartbreaking incident that, you know, I'll never ever wish it, not even on my worst enemy. And what even broke it even further is that he was not even able to walk on his toes, like wake up and even eat. He had to be fed. So for us, in our minds, the children, and personally I'm speaking on my behalf, because of course we are many in my family. We have 5. And since I'm the firstborn, I chose, let me just share my story, because nobody has come out to talk about it. And also the fear that came with our dad was abducted. And there's that fear that, what if I talk and then they're gonna come for me? Or what if I try to seek or be the activist in the family and say, we want justice for our dad? What if they turn on me now? So we've lived under that fear of not speaking about it. But since you encourage me, I will say, like, this is the right time for me to speak on it, because we suffered. My family suffered a big deal. Our dad was like the breadwinner of our family. He was the firstborn in his family, and he's the firstborn in my paternal side's family. So the whole family depended on him. My sisters, my aunties, they all schooled through the help of my dad. So when he was taken away from the equation, there's this saying that goes, when a father is taken away from the family, the children and the woman become vulnerable. So after that, we just dealt with a lot of anger. There's a lot of anger, a lot of, you know, incomplete links, a lot of unanswered questions that still today we are still healing from the trauma. And also just the news going viral on each and every station broadcasting the name of our father and our dad. I think that is the time that I went offline for like almost 6 months. I was never offline because I was scared. I was scared maybe these people would see that this guy is
You
a
were never
journalist.
online, yeah.
This guy is a journalist. He might come for us. So I went offline. I changed my number. I stopped interacting with the people I used to talk to. I remember the person who encouraged me to start now relating to other people is my teacher. There's one of my lecturers. She called and told me, Brian, where have you been for the last 6 months? I've not seen you in class. You're always active on the radio show. You're not anymore. And I told her, I've given up. I don't feel like I still want to continue with this journey, because this whole incident just traumatized us and it broke us. And I will say it put us at a place mentally where we are still questioning and asking God, like, why did you let this happen to us? Our dad was a very kind person. He was helping everyone in our county. You can call Bungoma County right now and ask about Michael Kulundu. They will tell you we know him.
Wow.
Yeah, from churches, schools and whatnot. So it just left us with wounds that we are still healing till today. And I feel like as you've invited me to share this story, I think this is the time for us to start healing. And also, I wouldn't say that, I don't want to say that I want the DCI to do anything or the people who abducted him to go through anything. But for me, after I've gone through that experience of the trauma and even the depression and even the anger and the resentment that came through with that, I've just said let God deal with whoever was a part of that, or that abduction.
At some point of the story, you actually said that the worst, after your father's death, the worst was yet to come. What happened next?
I meant that when my dad was abducted, we expected him to heal. Because he had shown signs that he's not gonna die. He's not gonna die. He was hopeful. He kept on even encouraging me and even checking on our careers and even our academia. And I remember that time, I think that's when I had gotten a job at a certain media institution. I was teaching. And he used to ask me every day, are you sure, do you want to teach or you want to be on video and TV? And I was like, no, Dad, since you're in this condition, I can't just choose things right now. I'll have to do anything I have. I gotta do what I gotta do to make money. Because now, if I say I'll depend on you now and you're in this condition, it's not gonna be well for me. But he was always concerned, and that concern actually gave me hope. But there was a time when we were in hospital, and I was feeding him his lunch, and I remember him telling me that, my son, even if I die, I think for you can live and continue with the legacy of our family, and do well in your career, but just eat this meal. And I was like, no, Dad, you can't tell me like that. You can't say that, Dad. Don't give up. Don't give up on us, because you are our faith. You are our hope. You are our star. And I remember him turning over on the other side of the wall, and he fell asleep. And I think that is the time I started asking God, like, God, I went back home and in prayer I asked God, why did you let this happen to me? I had a lot of self-doubt. I used to, I was very angry towards God, I would say. I used to ask God, God, are you even there? If you can allow my father to go through this, if you can allow people to abduct my dad, are you even there? Do you even love me, God? God, do you even love me? We've gone through a lot with our dad. He's a people's person. He was a person who was, I would say, he lived for the people. His life was about other people, leave alone the children. But even though he was taking care of us, but he was selfless, that is the word.
Okay.
So it's like, God, why did you let this happen to us? And that kept on ringing at the back of my mind until he passed on.
Now, I wanna know after now his death, your dad already had friends.
Yeah.
Did anyone come through for you guys?
Wow, I think that is when I think at that point is when I'll say I had a turning point in my life, because I realized that my dad was the only person I trusted in our family. Trusted in a sense of, I would tell him about what I was going through in my career, because in this media space it's not an easy journey.
Yeah.
So he was the only person I trusted, and when he was removed away from the equation, I felt naked. I felt alone, and that again came with our dad was a big person. He was an MD of a company. He had many friends who are CEOs.
Yeah.
None of them calls you. Our dad was a church person. I've never till today, I've never received a call from anyone from anywhere telling me, hi, I was a friend to your dad. As in,
And you're the firstborn?
yes, I'm the firstborn in our family. Yeah.
I know there's a strange thing that happened actually. You actually told me that you lived knowing that you didn't have a mother.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is another very traumatizing part. Like, I don't know if it would be safer to share this, but let me just keep it brief. In 2019, that's when I met my mom. But what made me angry is that all this life throughout my childhood, no details about my mom were shared to me. So I lived with the mindset that I have no mother until I was over 23. In campus, I graduated with my first broadcast diploma. Now I was finalizing my broadcast degree. And I have lived all my life knowing that I've never had a mother in my life. And in my mind, even registered that I, SAKWA, can have a mother. So after my dad's funeral, I don't want to get into the nitty-gritties of it. We reunited with my mom. But it was very difficult to actually like connect with her because I was very angry. You know, there's a lot of childhood traumas that were in there. I was always angry, like, why is my mom not in my life? It was always traumatizing, brought to school. I schooled, by the way, at a very good school at Fountain Gate Preparatory. Shout out to everybody from that school. It was almost like a group of schools where everyone, I'll say half of the parents were wealthy. So during visiting days, parents come to visit their children with cars, their mother, their father. But for me, my mom is not there. So it used to break me. I would say I went through that schooling period with a lot of anger and resentment, and even sometimes I used to feel alone because, you know, in place of my mom, my aunties now used to feel it. There's one of my aunties who is very close to me, and shout out to her, I love her so much. She still supports me till today, even though she's outside country. I used to just feel so empty. And you know, bro, sometimes it's humiliating for a child. You're at a school where parents come with their mother and their father, they're hugging, they're sharing and exchanging niceties and, you know, hugging each other. And even, you know, they're telling the stories about home, how the projects at home. But for me, there was no one for me there. So when I grew up in that feeling and in that mindset, coming to meet my mom, I think, just made me even more resentful. It was not easy to connect with her because I had to question her very keenly. Like, I was interrogating her like a detective. Yeah. And when she shared with me her side of her story, which I wouldn't share because it's her story, I understood her, and I embraced her. Did you forgive her? It was not easy to forgive her because at some point in my life I was very angry and resentful. I was like, nope, I can't forgive you, mom. Nope. If I'm your child, then you should have come and, you know, be there for me through all these things I've dealt with, even up to be where I'm at in my career. No, it's not something, bro, that can happen in a day. But believe me, I forgave her.
Awesome.
I forgave her. We are best friends. She's a good person. She's beautiful. She's adorable. I had missed her. I was even asking God, why did you keep her, God, up to this time? Is when you're bringing her into my life. It was not easy. I was angry at her, remember?
And I just want to know why you felt that it's important for you to come and share this story.
Well, interesting question. Dealing with that, I remember there's a point where I mentioned I became vocal about mental health. Dealing with all these childhood traumas and the alienation, the media journey that has been, it's quite a journey to say. All the things I've gone through, and even regarding my dad's death and everything we had overcome together. I just feel like anyone who is going through, or anyone who comes from a family where maybe there's a parent who is not there, maybe a single father or a single mother, just know that you can make it. You can make it, and there's no obstacle. Like we said earlier, God can never give you a burden more than you can carry. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. And just know that, trust yourself to know that you can recover. And there's always a day for you to break free. So my message to anyone who's going through this, just know that one day your star will shine. And no matter what is thrown at your table, no matter what people say about you, no matter what if people reject you or talk about you in bad light or don't appreciate you or don't acknowledge you, just know that one day you'll make it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Tulikuwa tukipiga story na Brian SAKWA, ukipenda muite SAKWA. But SAKWA, people might just be wondering, tukupata wapi kwenye mitandao ya kijamii, you know?
Find me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter is at Uncle SAKWA. Also my YouTube is at Uncle SAKWA. You can check me out. Yeah.
And what do you do?
Professionally, I'm a radio presenter and a TV presenter. I don't want to mention the station I'm working with right now. But yeah, you can check me out and find me on my socials, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter is at Uncle SAKWA, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Or if you can, I'm also a voiceover artist. There's several adverts I've voiced for some certain stations that I can't mention that's still running. So if you have a voiceover gigs, you can email me at sakwabrand2@gmail.com.
Awesome.
Or if you want to have me on your radio show as a radio presenter,
yep,
you know the drill.
Any opportunities, unajua zikikuja, you guys can just check him out, mshtueni. I think he's amazing and he's great at what he does.
And by the way, I've worked with this guy before, so he's a resilient guy. Like, I just want to say that, bro, the numbers, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I know your journey is just amazing and God is gonna bless you.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. All the best in everything.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Pleasure.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Asante sana. Tumekuwa tukipiga story na SAKWA. Natumai kwamba umejifunza mawili au matatu kutokana na story yake na kufahamu kwamba licha ya chochote ambacho kinafanyika kwenye maisha yako, at the end of the day, ukiamini na utie bidii sana, you'll always emerge a victor. Mimi naitwa presenter Ali, your entertainment PA. Asante sana kwa mwanangu behind the camera, naitwa Henry Frank, kando yake ni Eric Mukabwa. Anyways, siku zote ukitaka kufanikiwa usipende kusifiwa.